Hello, hi honeys. This is Alice B. Wilder here with another live chat. I hope you're all having a fantastic fucking week. And today I have Lu Featherstone joining me from Lu and Luland, and I'm so excited to get her on here. She has been going across the country on a self-revolution tour and our self-love revolution tour, and I'm so excited to talk with her about it. So these live chats have been going amazingly well. And because of that, I'm keeping them going. And we're going to see who else I can get on here probably once a week. And just to keep this open conversation going because it is super important. And it's just been fabulous talking with people. No worries, Lu. I know you'll get on here in just a second. So, big news for me. There's a lot of stuff happening over here. Oh no. Let's see. Thanks, Rihanna. It's so good to see you here. I figured I had to like jazz up the background a little bit. Yeah, welcome.
Yay! We did it.
Awesome. Lu Featherstone, it is amazing to have you on here, and I'm so excited to chat with you today. This has been like one of my like most anticipated chats, and I'm so excited to talk with you.
Oh, but I don't want to let you down.
No, no, no. There is no pressure here. This is a casual live chat, so
Just a
don't
casual
worry.
live chat. Just a casual live chat.
So, Lu, why don't you give our listeners a brief description of who you are, just for anyone who doesn't know you, and then we'll talk about this fabulous tour that you've just been on.
How do I describe myself? I should know now. I've been traveling around America for 3.5 months, and every day at least 20 people go, "What is this? Who are you? What are you doing?" So I'm going to do this as quick as I can. I am 51. I'm British, duh, in case you missed the accent. I moved to the States, to Portland in Oregon, for my husband's job 8 years ago.
Mhm,
And we moved from the UK. And then during COVID, we separated.
mhm,
We're now in the process of getting divorced. We stayed in the same house and we tried conscious uncoupling because we had a teenager, and it was brutal, but we did it. We managed to stay in the house, and then Oscar graduated high school, and I am an influencer on Instagram, a middle-aged influencer, encouraging women to step outside their comfort zone, try new things. I'm gonna have to take this off. Too hot. Embrace middle age, fuck the menopause, live their best lives. I didn't find my confidence until really late in life, and I think that really affected my marriage for the worse, because I just didn't consider myself an equal, and I put that on him, but that was me.
mhm,
We had a constant argument, oh, you don't treat me as a partner, you don't treat me as a partner, but I didn't consider myself a partner. I didn't come into the relationship as a partner.
mhm.
So that's what my Instagram was about. Anyway, my son was graduating high school. I'm like, what do I do? My mum died in the UK at the end of last year, so my dad's kind of sad and fed up,
Mhm,
and I miss my nephew, and I don't know, I'm scared, a little bit scared to be in America by myself in some ways. It's just so expensive, and I can Instagram anywhere, so I decided to move home. And then in the middle of a storm, I found a vintage bus, and a tree fell down and narrowly missed the house after I'd seen a converted bus by the side of the road. And I decided it was a sign from God or a sign from the universe that I should buy this bus, or a bus. And I spent the whole weekend obsessed with the tree falling down and buying a bus and just taking Lu and Luland out on tour, because I love Instagram. I've got an amazing community, but I just want to meet people for real. I think especially after COVID, and women are just, so many women contact me in various ways looking for connection and looking for other women and other human beings to connect with, and
mhm,
find it incredibly difficult. Whereas I'm lucky I find it easy, and I put myself out there, whereas other women don't find it that easy. So I was like, maybe I could act as a conduit for other women and sort of just cruise around the country, meeting women and trying to empower them. And so I did. I crowdfunded the bus. This is Susie. I'm sitting in Susie right now. Look
Amazing.
there. She's a 35-foot bluebird wonder lodge. I don't know if you can see her, like my disco ball hanging
She's
there.
gorgeous.
She's amazing. She's like an old, she looks like a school bus. She's made by the same people that made the school bus, but she was actually a motorhome.
Oh,
They only made 4,000 of them. Saddam Hussein had 10, fun fact.
wow.
I know, because they're very luxurious. Anyway, making sense. I bought the bus. I found some sponsors for the tour. I was like, who believes in this mission? Who would support this mission for me to go out and meet women and try and connect them? And so I approached brands that I love and had worked with before, or that I use all the time. So a gin company, Freeland Spirits, which is a women-owned, women-distilled gin company back in Portland. I approached Fun
Awesome.
Factory, my favorite vibrator company.
Mhm.
I partnered up with period.org to raise awareness around period poverty as I went. Love Momatero are an amazing women's healthcare brand. So say you get something grubby in your vagina and your pH balance goes a bit kooky, then
Yeah.
that's who you need. They have some beautiful products. And so I got those guys together and said, look, this is my idea. Fancy sponsoring me? I'll represent you as I go, and you support me as I go. And so that's what I did. And I left Portland 3 months ago. I've been on the road for 3.5 months. And
Has
I've
it
done
really been 3 months? Oh my gosh.
3 months, and I flew to London and did a public speaking event in Wales. I did the Do lectures in Wales, which is was amazing experience. I met some amazing people at that, and then I flew to Amsterdam because I got asked to do a stand-up comedy show. So I
Wow.
did that. Then I flew back and picked up the bus from Arizona, went down as far as Austin, and then I
Hmm.
made my way up through Texas and Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky. And then the last few days I broke down in Nashville, which has been stressful because I've been stuck there for a long time. But I met some amazing people strangers from Instagram invited me into their house, getting
Wow.
someone's husband working on my bus for 2 entire days. Yeah, it's been
Amazing.
insane. And now you're speaking to me in New York. I literally got here about 3 hours ago, and I'm parked up in New Jersey in Liberty Harbor, right by the Statue of Liberty.
What a view.
So that was a
Oh
very
my
long
gosh.
answer to who are you?
That was a fact. I think you've answered all my questions. So chat over. This is done. I mean, we can all go home now. No.
Cheers. Thanks for coming. Sorry, I'm terrible. You have to shut me up. We need a safe word where you go, stop talking. I'm sorry, I do go on.
Safe word, schnitzel.
Schnitzel. All right. So if I go on too long, you say schnitzel, and
Okay.
I'll know. Shut up.
I love it. I love it. That was an amazing description. And I mean, I feel so connected with you. I mean, in this way, just because I feel like our missions are somewhat similar in like our path. Like I went across the country last summer. You went across on this amazing trip this summer. And so I'm curious kind of what that was like, first of all, like trying to fund a project of this nature. And you said that you found your confidence later in life. So I'm kind of curious about what that process looked like for you because I feel similarly in that way, I think.
I think, I don't know, maybe it's just as part of getting older, I just automatically seem to give less fucks. That sort of just seemed to happen a bit naturally. But
Mhm.
I guess around 41, I'm now 51. So my story, this is exactly 10 years, I realized the other day, which was
Yeah.
crazy. When I was 41, I was struggling with my spending and my shopaholic tendencies, and I gave up shopping for a year. I bought a very expensive pair of shoes, and it freaked me out one night, and I woke up in a cold sweat and just made the decision to change it. And I didn't know what to do. There's no Shopaholics Anonymous. So I just decided just to go cold turkey. And I found myself changing my route home from work, and I found myself having to stop buying magazines. If I didn't see it, this was
Mhm.
before Instagram, but if I didn't see it, it was okay.
Yeah.
But I went through a full-on withdrawal process. Started a blog, started Outfit of the Day. I was one of the first people on the internet doing Outfit of the Day. I was on Tumblr. That's how old I am. Remember that? There was only porn. There was porn and me on Tumblr at one point.
I think
Hey
that's
guys,
how
look
I
what I
found
wore.
you even. Not through the porn, but through the outfit every day.
Could be. Quite possible. Anyway, at the end of the year, I went back to shopping in a very different way. But the
Uh-huh.
feeling that I had at the end of the year was, I was like, fuck, God, if I could do that, if I can put my mind to something, I can do anything I want. And it blew my mind that I could achieve something. I had never felt like I'd achieved much before. I'd always been, I landed with C's and B's. I was, I don't know.
Hmm.
But I've always known there was more. Like, I worked for years with kids and families in crisis and kids at risk. And I love that. I was really, really good at that. Really good with naughty boys and teenage mums. And I don't know, I think because I've just always kept everything real. I don't have, I'm not very good at I don't have a filter. So
I think that's great.
I worked with kids and youth for years, and I loved that.
Yeah.
And then when we came to America 8 years ago, I couldn't work. Didn't have a visa, so I had to start hiking. No, I had to meet people, and so I started hiking, and I formed this hike group, and I joined the PTA at school and started volunteering, and I just have always thrown myself into everything. My dad was a minister so I grew up in the church, so I think I've just always grown up in community and loved that.
Yeah.
But I started hiking and getting fit and more confident, and I joined CrossFit and started getting fitter and even more confident, and I met all these amazing badass people and humans, and it was so uplifting. CrossFit doesn't matter what age you are, what gender you identify as, whatever you are, everybody does the same workout. We start together and we finish together, and if you are
Cool.
the last person finished, I can guarantee you the person who finished 5 minutes before you will sit and wait and clap you at the end. And just, I don't know, just tiny little things. And being in
Cool.
America, I'm being in
Yeah.
America, honestly, particularly up in Portland, I found myself in a really uplifting community of people. And, British people are quite I don't want to say hatey, they are quite hatey. They're very, say you come up with a business idea, you could come up with the most ludicrous business idea in the world, and an American will go, oh my God, that's amazing. Let me introduce you to my Aunt Flo. She has $1 million and she's done that and she knows someone. And lo and behold, they introduce you and give you connections. And in Britain, people are sitting around going, well, I can tell you why that won't work. I can tell you why that won't work. So I don't know. I was like, I love this. I love these people. Everyone's so like, fuck it, yes. And so I started to open up to other things, moving. I started saying yes to everything. And if an opportunity came my way, I'd say yes and do it. And I went to a women's group and I ended up in an evening with a vagina whisperer. She's called the vagina. She's called Tammy Kent. She actually has an actual name. Her name is Tammy Kent. She's written a couple of books and she has a TED talk called The Vagina Whisperer. So please Google it because it's so incredible.
I will.
And I didn't want to go. I was like, no, it's a bit woo-woo for me. This is probably about 4 years ago now. A bit woo-woo for me. And my friend needed a ride. So I was like, fine, I'll take you. Anyway, we're sitting there. It's very Portland. We were eating vegan pizza, drinking wine from a can and meditating to our vaginas. And I was like, really? Is this happening? We're getting punked right now. But I reminded myself that I'd say to everyone, say yes to everything. So be in the bloody moment, close your eyes and get on with it. So, she's written a couple of books. Hundreds of people go to her. Thousands of people go to her, in fact. So close your eyes. So I closed my eyes and I cannot tell you to this day exactly the words that she said to us. The only thing I remember is visualizing my vagina going into Mother Earth. That's the only thing I can remember. But as I left, I felt different. Like I could feel a complete shift in my energy and everything. And the next morning I literally got up and my son and my husband went, what's up with you? And I went, I don't know, but me and my vagina are gonna do some very powerful things. And my son was like, oh my God, shut up. And he was watching YouTube and I said to him, what are you watching? And he was like, YouTube. And I'd never really paid YouTube much mind. But I I spent the day watching YouTube, and I went, maybe I'll start a YouTube channel. And he went, oh my God, no one will watch it. And I was like, he went, what will you even call it? And I went, I don't know, margaritas and the menopause and midlife. Oh, anyway,
I love that.
that then spurred me on. I ended up calling a friend to ask her what app I needed to start a YouTube channel. She ran a course for Instagrammers. So I went on the course. She taught me some bits and bobs, and I still couldn't find my voice. I did it with a view to doing some style, like becoming a style blogger, based around vintage and being sustainable. But actually what women enjoyed watching was me step out my comfort zone, try new things. And that was more, the style's great. Like, I have a very unique style, and that's eye-catching, and it starts conversations, which is amazing. And then I started doing Lu and Lulan's vintage shopping tours of Portland, and I would take women and men around the stores and encourage them to shop sustainably and try new things. Because when it's vintage or it's secondhand, it's usually more unusual, or it's one of a kind, and people get lost in the vintage shop and don't know where to shop. So I like, try this and this. Why don't you try doing this together? And I'd noticed women particularly would really enjoy sort of trying new things. So then while I was in the vintage shops, I was started to spend money again. So then I developed it into Lu and Lulan's Rent My Wardrobe, and I started renting out my vintage clothes.
Oh, wow.
And developed
Okay.
a whole business. So women would come to the house. I'd put some shoes on, give them a glass of wine. We'd dance around. I'd get them dressed up. They'd rent clothes for parties and weddings and vacations. And yeah, I even dressed a bride to elope to New York. She borrowed she rented my gold cowboy boot, my gold sequin cowboy boots, and elope to New York. So all my clothes got to go on all these amazing adventures, and all these women would love it and would message me going, oh my God, everybody at the wedding is taking my picture. And just as that business was starting to take off, COVID hit. And so no one was going anywhere or renting any clothes. So that was like,
yeah.
And so I started
Getting dressed up just to stay at home.
was not a thing. Well, it was, but no one wanted to borrow anything for that. And I started doing more positivity and staying positive and staying confident, and women just started coming. So yeah, here we are. Lockdown finished. I saw a bus, left my husband, and here I am in New York.
Wow. And you're in New York for the Sex Expo, right? This weekend?
Sex Expo, I am on a panel about censorship, because a lot of the sex industry and sex education industry and a lot of body confidence bloggers and Instagrammers like myself get censored so much. They take down our work. Yeah, they take down our work. They shadow ban us. And so there's vital information that's just not getting out there. So we're having a demonstration outside the Sex Expo. Then I'm on a panel talking about censorship, and then I'm doing the keynote closing speech on Saturday, talking about the tour and dick pics and vibrators and having no filter whatsoever.
That's perfect. I love it. That's fantastic. I wish I was going to be there. I'm actually from New York, so I'm so excited that you're there, and I'm sad that I'm not there. It's like this bittersweet feeling, because I'm like, damn it, I just want to be there.
If you want to come.
I would love that. So what do you think is maybe the dumbest thing you've dealt with censorship wise? Like, I'm curious as to like what they've taken down from your page that you were like, really?
Really? I mean, when I post anything, I'm an accidental influencer. Like I don't have a content calendar or any of that stuff. That's just not who I am. It really is. I wake up in the morning. I mean, I know if there's something fun coming like Christmas, then I'll have a plan-ish. But I'm generally like, my Instagram has really been a journey. A lot of people have followed me for a long time from, I got banned. I got fired. I was the middle school track and field coach at my son's school and got fired because I put my arse on the Portland Public School.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that happened. TikTok banned me. So I went on I thought, I'd been avoiding TikTok, and then I decided to go on TikTok, and it was going really well. I think I had 100,000 followers maybe. So they were clicking away, and then what did I do? I posted a reel with my naked bum, and they took the post down, and I didn't realize that you couldn't that no naked bumps. I was like, damn it. Then the next post I posted, I had a very high cut swimsuit on, and they removed it, but I didn't. It wasn't naked. And then I did a get dressed with me, and I was in my underwear, and I lost my whole account. They removed my account, and I lost all my followers. And it's all my fucking work. Like, it's such hard work. People just think I'm dancing around in my underwear. It is, you know, content creators like myself trying to empower other people. You know, I'm not selling shit most of the time. I promote brands that I truly believe in, and I have given up contracts because I don't want to just sell bullshit. I only sell things that really matter to me. That's one of the most important things to me as a content creator and an influencer. But to lose all your work and to have all your comments, like, all my comments are so important, and they're not just important for me, they're important for everybody that reads them. You know, the post is one thing that I put a lot of work into, but then all the likes, that's how we make our money, that's our job. And then all the comments, they're for everybody, they're for people to read and connect with other, you know, so many people are connected through comments. You know, you see somebody,
it's where the conversation is happening.
And that's how people find each other. And so then when they remove all that, it's just really downheartening. You just take someone's work away. So then I got cross with it. So then I had a break, and then I started Lu in Two Land, but I've never really got them. I'm still cross with them, and I never got all my followers back. So I just got, it's annoying. And then other posts. There was a post I did about my scars, and it was a very personal email about my cesarean scars and my stomach, where I've put on weight, lost weight, put on weight. You know, my stomach. You know, I'm nothing more than who I am, but it was quite a personal post about my scars that I bear with pride, and all the things that I've gone through to get my cesarean scar. But I was holding my boobs like this, so it was removed. Again, it was one of my most liked posts. It went really viral, and then someone must have reported me. But because I had my arm across my boobs like that, they said it was sexual, and I'm like, oh, my cesarean scar. So it is. But it's really frustrating. But there, you know, but there's just vital information that is just not getting out there. You know, and people getting themselves in risky sexual situations without proper information, and you know, it's just frustrating. Then there's, you know, but you can see a 13-year-old in her underwear bouncing up and down, and that's fine. But a middle-aged woman or a woman of color, removed, banned.
Yeah, it's so crazy looking at like what I see on my feed every day, you know, that it's just totally normal, or like fashion brands pushing the boundaries. But as soon as it's anything that has to do with like sex or overexposure or anything like that, then it gets taken down, unless it's like breast cancer or breastfeeding. And like, I'm for all of that. Like, we need all of that, but we're missing like a whole other section of conversation that people just aren't even talking about. And I think that's what drew me so much to you, because you're openly talking about menopause, which is something that, like, I mean, it's that thing that you hear. They're like, oh, don't go into the forest, you know, watch out for this. You know, it might come to you someday, but it's nothing you need to worry about right now. But no one ever discusses it. And it wasn't until I started talking with my friends who are in their 40s and just hitting perimenopause, and I was like, oh, wait, I have this to look forward to? Or like, oh, this is actually coming before I thought I was ready for that. I'm like, okay.
This is a little early. Why am I forgetting everything? Am I getting Alzheimer's at 41, 42?
Yeah.
I think it's funny, isn't it? Because I think social media, and I think the driver's trying to call me, so right, ready.
Oh, the champagne.
Delivery, and so Uber Eats delivery for a month. So I ordered a bottle of champagne.
Are they delivering to your bus? That's amazing. If you need to take a second and figure that out, you can totally do that.
The phone keeps going, so if I dart off, it's just to get the champagne. But what was I saying? Oh,
Uh,
social media, the devil in the deep blue sea. So we all know the pitfalls of social media, right? Oh, you know, holding ourselves up to unobtainableness, which is one of the things I hate, and toxic positivity. You know, I've probably done a bit too much crying over the last 3 months road trip. I'm like, you're supposed to be positive. Most of your posts are crying about the bus. But the other thing with social media is I think that we have that, like, it's been a way for us all to find our voice and those connections, the connections that I always have to go a step too far. I needed to come out on the road and find the connections. But, you know, Instagram and social media has allowed us, particularly women or minority groups, I think, to find their people. Even if you don't engage with them, you can watch and find people and go, that's a, you know, that's could be happening. You
yeah,
know, it could be like this, it could be like that. Which is going back to censorship. You know, there's people looking for information, and I think, you know, particularly in America, compared to the UK, sex education is just non-existent. I mean, there's nothing in schools.
yes,
There's nothing realistic at all in school for kids to have as a basis for a relationship, or having sex, or fumbling your way around the
yeah.
back of the bike sheds. You know, you have to
That's
talk
so
about these
interesting too.
things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from your perspective, coming from like the UK perspective, and just being able to see that difference, because that's a conversation I've been having with people, is like, oh, like I grew up with a very basic sex education understanding, but like we never dove into anything past like don't get pregnant, take, take pills or whatever, like here's some condoms. And
Abstain.
here's an awkward female condom too. Here, this is how this works. And like, we
Yeah.
never went any further than that. So
Or just
that's like,
abstain.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Like a horny
Sex isn't
14-year-old
fun.
is going to abstain. Oh no, it's awful. You'll grow horns. I mean,
Yeah,
here's the thing. I hate to break it to you mums and dads. Your kids are gonna get fingered at the school disco. They are gonna fumble around the back of the bike sheds. It's that conversation with your kid, so that when they get to that stage, you know, they come to you with questions, or they come to you when something, you know, when they've had a mishap, or the condom split, or they've made a mistake.
right.
You want them to talk to you. You want to keep that conversation. You want to have that lack of shame. I mean, so many of us grew up with so much shame. If you've been involved in the church or religion, undoubtedly you are shrouded in shame around sex.
Yeah.
As women, we're shrouded around shame and sex. As
Hmm.
you know, since the Me Too movement, it's become apparent just how many of us are living with shame around sexual abuse and sexual trauma. I'm shrouded in shame because I couldn't have a fucking child out of my vagina and had to have a C-section. And it gave
Yeah.
me postnatal depression for 2 years.
Yeah.
That I hid from my entire family while fantasizing about, you know, doing away with myself because I literally couldn't stand it. So, you know, unless we talk about these things and make it
Yeah. It's all good. I think your audio keeps cutting out when they call too. You're good. You're good. Lou's waiting for some champagne, I believe. Uber Eats delivery, so we'll give her a second. I can't hear you now.
Did you hear all that?
Oh, no, no,
Oh, you
no,
can you hear me now?
no. Yeah, I can hear
That
you
was
now.
Uber going. That was Uber going. We're wandering around the RV site with your champagne. Where are you? I'm like, I'm
Oh,
on an
how did he
Instagram
not find
live.
your bus?
I'm on an Instagram live. Leave it with the security guard. I'll be there in a minute. She went, okay. Sorry,
Amazing.
random.
I mean, your bus is super hard to find, so
I mean, seriously, she said he came into the campsite. I was like, it says pink and green bus on the Uber Eats. I'm fairly sure you can spot
yeah,
me. Anyway, hopefully it's with a security guard and he's not drinking it all.
good. Yeah, I hope they don't freaking pull on you. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I mean, what has this world come to? You can order delivery to your bus. That's
I mean,
amazing.
why walk to the liquor store when they'll bring it to you? Honestly, it's one mistake I've made with the tour was not towing a vehicle. So, you know, for years living in America,
Oh,
I've watched these huge RVs go by and go, oh my God, they're towing a truck. Oh my God, they're towing a Jeep. What? I mean, what? But now I realize why, because lots of the RV parks are out of the town and America's so
mhm.
unwalkable. And so lots of places I've been stranded. So I've probably spent more on Ubers going sightseeing and adventuring than any other cost.
Mhm.
But I've got free Uber Eats delivery for a whole month. So I'm like, why walk to
Amazing.
the liquor store? They'll bring it to me for free. And I am someone's employed and I don't know. Also, I just arrived in New York and I'm like, oh, bring me the
That's a
champagne.
cause for celebration.
Who
Champagne
am
is
I?
exactly what you need.
Who even am I at this point? Seriously.
That's amazing. Oh, something I thought that was really interesting. You said something about taking your tour and your mission kind of into the real life connection. And you were saying that you felt like it was too much, but I felt similarly to you when I hit a point, like I had my first neon sign made in January of 2021. And once it was finally done, I was like, I'm hitting censorship on all levels here with Instagram, and I cannot grow whatsoever. I need to take this to the people. And that was how I ended up like going across the country. We did guerrilla style pop-up tour and like stopped in parks and just like set up the neon. We didn't like tell anybody we were coming. We were just like, hey, we're going to be here on this date and like we're going to just set it up everywhere we go. And we took it across the country and set it up in like New York and New Jersey, like Amarillo, Texas, like
So
Asheville.
fun.
It was amazing going across with it, but it was that in-person connection that I realized like, oh, we can have like much deeper conversations if we're doing this in real life. And like the people that I met on tour have been the people that have like stuck around and I still talk to them like frequently and it made such a difference in the communication and like the conversations that we even had. I was like, I'm just going to take this neon vulva across the country, bring
And
some
did
big
it.
pussy energy to everyone and hopefully this will do something. But I didn't expect all of the conversations and like the questions that people asked me and just each stop seemed to have like a different
Its own thing,
vibe
right?
to it. Yeah, yeah. And so I'm wondering like was there like do you have a favorite stop along the tour or like a moment that really was just like wow, I wasn't expecting this or like something like that.
A thing. I had dinner with Nancy Pelosi's daughter. I random. I in Austin. I had a terrific connection with Austin. I really enjoyed it,
Mm.
and I was in the shower block of the toilets, and I could hear someone crying in a cubicle. And I said, "Are you all right?" And she was like, "I'm fine." And I said, "Well, if you're not, I'm at site 50 with the green and
Uh-huh.
pink bus." And I went out for dinner. And when I came back, she was sitting on the doorstep. And she came in the bus, and she was a Mexican woman, Trump Trump supporting husband, which was an interesting combination. But he'd been physically abusing her, and it got really bad the night before. And so she stayed with me that night, and then we waited for him to go to work the next morning, and then we nipped in and cleared all her stuff out, and then she stayed with me for a couple of nights till we could get her in a shelter.
Wow.
So that was I thought by the time I get to New York, I'll be filling Madison Square Gardens with like, thousands of people. But actually it's been those things that have
Yeah.
been the most amazing. I in a one place there was quite a few women in real need. I had been there. I stayed there 3 days. I don't know why. I needed to stay there. I needed to do some work, and so I just needed to stop. And I think that was when I realized staying 3 days really helped, because often I was hopping every 2 nights. But staying
Yeah.
3 nights just gave people a chance to look me up and come and knock on the door. The door started. I must have had 8 or 9 women from that RV park. So the RV parks are packed with people who are traveling around, having a good time. Then there's full-time RVers who live there. Lots of whom are women alone who have lost their houses, lost their families, been ripped off during a divorce, or lost their living during COVID, or people who've chosen to be like that, chosen to roam around and see what happens, or looking for a different way of life. So it's amazing to be surrounded by all these adventurers and all these people who have amazing stories to tell. There's no one in an RV park that hasn't got a story to tell. There's a lot of people on the run from religion. Lots. I've met a lot of people who run from religious sects, and have got family religious pressures. And there's a lot of women who have, I met Jim Bob, the truck driver, and he told me to leave Florida and come with him and live in, whoop-de-doo. And now I can't afford to get back to my family, and I can't see my children, and he's gone for months on end. And what do I do? And so a lot of women in need. And so I wanted the bus to be a beacon, and it has really been a beacon. So in RV parks around 6:30, everybody gets a cocktail on, and they all go for a walk around the camp. Everyone's sort of like having a cocktail and walking the dog. It's kind of like a little thing. And so I roll into the campsite or the RV park, and about 6:30, along come there. People go, "Oh, hello. Noticed your bus." And I'm like, "Did you?" "Yeah." And the men always go, nice bus. Is it? What year is it? So I'm like, 1983, Bluebird Wonder Lodge. And they go, "Ah." And the women go, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Well, I've left my husband, and I'm driving across the country empowering women and preaching masturbation and self-love and confidence." And the women go, "Oh," and high-five me. And then the husbands go, "All right, let's move along." And then they move their wives away from me in case I start influencing them.
I gotta feel those too. Someone would be like, "What is that?" And then they'd be like,
They go,
"Nothing to see here. Let's go."
"Oh, so funny." So funny. But I don't know, start a conversation, right? I was properly scared, and I drove into Texas. I think I did a crying video going, "I'm so scared to go to Texas. They're going to hate me. I'm going to get attacked." And I met so many incredible people and so many kind, generous people. The South, I mean, Southern hospitality is just a thing. And even the people who I really didn't agree with and came from such different places, your pro-lifers and and Trumpers that I met, we met in the middle. I had some amazing conversations, and most of these people have never been exposed to anybody like, the number of times people go, "Wow, I've never met anybody like you before." And I'm like, I mean, I am loud, and I am, very unapologetic, but I'm really just a normal person. But they just, the number of people that have never left their town, never mind their state. Never mind, I mean, I get why people don't leave the country. It's amazing. You could stay in America and you can have snow, sun, tropical, green, desert. You can have what you like here. It's amazing. And I do understand a little bit more since living here why people don't always have a passport. But to not leave your town, but a lot of people can't even afford to leave the state. The people living with so little money down south. It's blown my mind. It's blown my mind. And I'm gutted it's over. It was not long enough. I didn't go half the places. There's so much work I could be doing, and I've never felt more sure about what I'm doing. Going back to your question about probably an hour ago, because I haven't stopped talking about. I don't know. I just always thought there was more to life than just me, and I couldn't work out what it was. And I was like, is it fashion? Is it? And so I kept taking all these little steps forward, and the path just kept going. Just say yes, keep going, and then it's led me to this point. And I can't believe I still can't believe I'm sitting in my own vintage RV in New Jersey and New York, having driven 5,000 miles. It's so unbelievable
Yeah.
to me that I've done it. It's
It's
wild.
amazing. It's truly an
Wild.
amazing thing. Like even I don't know, I don't know if you feel similarly, but like after the tour, it took me like months to really let it set in like what I had done because I was just like I'm just gonna do it and see what
Yeah.
happens. And then like
And everyone's, you're so brave,
afterwards,
you're so brave. I'm like, I don't feel
yeah,
brave, I just feel terrified. And then now
yeah,
I do feel actually very proud of myself today. I do
yeah,
feel very proud. I'm like, well, look at that. You went and fucking did it. You went and
yeah,
fucking did it. You came up with an idea. You're like, that's what I want to do. This is my path. I
yeah,
finally found my voice. Then I found the bus. Then I was like, that's what you want to do. How'd you get there? Right.
yeah,
Get the bus. Number one. Number two, get sponsorship for the tour. Number three, do the tour. Number
yeah.
four, write the book about the tour. And the people and I've got a book deal and they're like, have you started writing the book? And I'm like, I can't write the book till I finished. I've got to finish. I don't know yet how I
Yes,
feel. I don't want to,
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't want to write it. I couldn't write it while I was going. I record everything anyway. I'm sort of like, it's hard for me to write. Usually because I've had 3 gin and tonics by the time I get into bed. There's certainly not no journaling for me in the evening.
Well, and you need to process everything too. I mean, like I'm also working on that with my tour as well, like trying to catalog each location and understand like what the point was of everything. And it's like I know I'm doing good work and like what I'm doing, but to then sit afterwards and process through it all to like write that book is like a whole other thing.
I was
There's
trying
no
to
room for that on the tour.
I was trying to write a post of just like little facts, and it was like 5,300 miles,
Hmm.
13 states.
Hmm.
I don't know where, 2 other countries, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I have met hundreds and hundreds of people. Like,
Yeah.
just, and thousands of people have seen my bus and wondered what it is and asked themselves what self-love revolution could be. And
Hmm.
maybe just for a second thought what self-love might look like for them, or pondered it, or just laughed, or truck drivers going by going, wah, wah. So many truck drivers go by going,
That's amazing.
that's my favorite. It's like big burly truck drivers going, woo. They
Yeah.
go by. I was
Yeah.
like,
I love doing that on the road. I think even some of the people that I met at like rest areas are just like, like it's those random in passing moments where you meet a human and you're like, oh, like so weird. Our paths crossed like
cross
this.
like
Like
this.
one of my favorite moments even was meeting someone. So we were going in the opposite direction, but we met a girl in a rest area in Oklahoma City or like outside of Oklahoma City. And we were both traveling in the same direction. And she's like, hey, yeah, I'll be passing through Texas like on the same day as you. And at some point, we literally passed each other on the highway. And it was like a couple of days later. And we were like, oh my God, there she
I
is.
saw you. That's so funny. I didn't see another
It's this
bluebird. I was
journey
watching
for
out for
us.
bluebird. I got quite a lot of emails from people going, I've just passed your bus on the freeway. Where are you going? Like, da 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 da. And then, followers are like, oh my God, you're coming to Nashville. Hit me up. I've met so many followers. It's been
Hmm.
amazing. I watched before I left. I was somebody introduced me to. There's another TED Talk. So the Vagina Whisperer is one, and the other one, and I don't know what her name is. I'm sorry if she's watching. She really isn't, but it's called The Art of Asking, and
Okay.
she's a singer and in a band. And they were on tour, and I think they ran out of money, or the hotel was double booked when they got there, and there was nowhere to stay. So she tweeted out to her fans, "Can anyone put us up?" And someone said, "Come and stay in our house." And so they went and stayed in their house, and they had an amazing experience. And from that day to this, she's never booked a hotel. She always just tweets, "Who can put me up? Where can I stay?" She has stayed all over the world with fans. And she said it was
Wow.
an amazing thing to watch just before I left, because She said, I look at the couch surfing, like crowd surfing. So I throw myself out there to my people and I just hope someone fucking catches me and holds me up. And so, you know, I tweet, can I stay? Has anyone got somewhere for me to stay? And I throw myself out there with my community and I hope someone picks me up. She said, never spent a night on the street, never spent a penny, met the most incredible people, got so many
Yeah.
funny, hilarious, weird, you know, shit in the bath, kind of like, oh my God, stories to tell. Like, just
Yeah.
amazing. And I feel a bit like
That
that
sounds
now.
like Amanda Palmer.
Oh,
Is
it
that her
might
name?
be. Yes, might have been.
From the Dresden Dolls?
Yes, that's her.
Yeah.
It's
Love
so good.
her. I
Yeah,
love her.
it's
I saw
amazing
her.
people.
She did a documentary of like her, I think she did a cross country tour at some point as well, and it's on YouTube. But it's like an hour long, and they made a little documentary of it. But it was like the whole trip across, and you could see it was before she was like really famous, and it was a really cool documentary to go back and watch. I think I saw that also, that TED Talk about that, and I was like, wow, what an incredible woman. Like, I love her. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
the art of asking, which I think particularly as
Mhm.
women we're not very good at, are we? We assume our roles, we assume our position, we do a lot of
Yeah.
assuming as women and asking. I mean, it's my toxic trait is not being able to ask for help. Not only do I not ask for help, I will actively push you away and shove you away and refuse and make it
Yeah.
really, 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 really difficult to help me. I have to poke my own eyes out before I'll let anybody help me, and it's really unattractive. I don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. Just a stubborn bitch. But this trip I've had to rely on people and had to ask, and it feels good. It feels
Yeah.
good. And I had to ask
Yeah.
Uber Eats to deliver me some champagne because I can't even apparently now walk to the liquor store.
I'm so excited for you. I'm definitely going to do a toast when we're done with all of this.
Yeah, I'll finish this cup of tea before I go and get the champagne.
Okay, I have one more major question just about menopause and stuff. But was there anything that you specifically learned or that surprised you going into menopause or like learning about it or along the journey?
I mean, before I started doing work in the menopause area, I had no idea how many women struggle and suffer. Like I knew it was going to be bumpy road, but
Mhm.
I was not aware of how many women suffer in silence because you know it's horrific the things women go through. And I mean, the conversation in the UK, interestingly, is a lot further forward. I mean, some companies now in the UK have started time off for women who are menopausal. It's now,
Wow.
it's a huge campaign over in the UK. It's much, much more talked about in general conversation. There's a couple of quite big sort of like beloved TV stars, you know, daytime TV people that the nation adore. Davina McCall is one of them. She's an amazing resource. She's just written a book called Menopausing, and there's quite a few sort of real national treasures. It makes her sound like she's much older than she is. Sorry, Davina, who have really made menopause a major conversation. You know, it's
Uh-huh.
mainstream TV. There's a mainstream TV, you know, information about it
Yeah.
now, and so that's amazing. I don't know. I've been quite blessed. I am as I have proven again to myself, whatever I decide to do, I can fucking do if I just put my mind to it. And I can give up shopping for a year. I can drive across the country in a vintage bus. Like I can get through bloody menopause. I'm not letting,
Fuck yeah.
you know, I'm strong in the head. I kept physically strong. I was
Mhm.
outdoors a lot. You know, Mother Nature was so important to me, you know, and I was very lucky and blessed that I lived in a beautiful place, had a lot of time, lived in the woods. But setting myself constant challenges to keep myself going and keep myself active and busy meant that I, you know, physically have been able to handle it. But you know, the mood swings was something else. And I miss my mum. My mum died at the end of last year, but she's had Alzheimer's for the last 13 years. So I haven't had my mum to ask because so, you know, you can, if you're lucky enough to know your mum or and have a relationship with your mum, then your mum might be able to give you a little bit of an inkling about what's ahead. But you know,
Mhm.
that generation of mums didn't talk about it. That's why the internet's so good because we can talk about it. You know, and there's
Yeah.
two ways of looking at it. I don't know if you saw earlier this week, Corny Cox did a very amusing thing with a tampon advert. So she recorded a tampon advert back in the day. So she'd spliced it with her back when she was in her 20s, talking about tampons, and then she's talking about the menopause, and she was cutting backwards and forwards. But it was so annoying because she was like, the menopause is awful. It's disgusting. It's horrible. It'll eat you alive. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, who are you helping with that? Like, is that funny? Like, yes, it can be hard, but like, don't make people dread it. Like, it's up to you how you. Here's the thing, right? Menopause is like life. Menopause is life. It's shit happens. Shit happens to every single person, every woman in the world. Shit happens. It's how you show up for the shit bits. That's who you are, and that, you know, and being able to ask for help if you're really struggling. Take bloody HRT. Like, fuck. Take the HRT if it's going to make you feel better. But explore all your options. Try different things. But I definitely, you know, I am no doctor. I think that's probably quite apparent after a 5-minute chat with me. But I do believe that a positive mindset and keeping fit and healthy can get you through and over quite a lot of the bumpier bits. If not, ask for help. And there's a lot of lube on the market, people. Don't worry about the dry vagina. There's lube. That's what lube's for. And Fun Factory and Love Mama Tara are bringing out a midlife menopause masturbation kit early next year. And I'm the face for the campaign. So that's very exciting. So stay tuned for that. I've got that photo shoot on Monday. I don't know what they're going to have me doing.
So cool.
Yeah, good. Huh?
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Exactly what you said too about like the negativity and trying to stay positive about it, because I mean, we've already had so many years of negative messages, like reasons to hate our bodies. And even part of my process is like trying to love my period, like just coming to a point of like acceptance and love and understanding, and like figuring out ways to make it a more positive experience. Because if you show up positively, you can get through it better, and it's more, I mean, you hate yourself less, you hate your body less, you hate your pleasure less. And it's taken me even like, oh, you know what? I enjoy anal sex on my period. Like, I'm going to own that. I'm going to own that. And you know what?
Solution finder. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I like a solution finder.
Exactly. But yeah, so I think that's amazing. What you're doing with the menopause stuff is awesome.
I mean, for God's sake, women, our whole body, we're genetically designed to accommodate somebody else. Our bodies change every month for most of our life. Of our life, every single month. And it's so we can accommodate another motherfucker. It's wild to me. It blows my mind. So the menopause, finally, those periods bob off, and it's finally about you again. That's usually around the time the kids, if you've had kids, they're going off to college, whatever, they're leaving home, they're in jail, whatever. But you start to, early 50s, you're starting to look towards getting your life back for yourself a little bit. At the same time, your period's finish. I'm like, what's not to love about that? No more periods. Kids are gone. New chapter. Hello, let's go.
Yeah.
Or, sit around whining. I don't know what to say to you about that. Yeah. Find a way. Talk to someone. Don't suffer.
Exactly.
Whatever your symptoms are, if you're really struggling, go to the doctor. Figure it out. Demand some care.
And talk to people. Share your story. That's like the thing that I've been learning the most from people is like everyone that I've spoken to during this project and throughout this process, I've not only like learned from them, but felt inspired by them and like been able to understand myself better even, which is just kind of amazing.
Absolutely. Do you remember like, I don't know, I feel like, when you were talking about something we were talking about earlier, but the main age range that follows me is actually 33 to sort of 45. And it's younger women looking to the future and looking for answers, and are, saying, it goes back to indigenous you know, tribes where there were elders, and elders, people would go and ask the elders for advice and ask them, what should
Yeah.
I do? Or I have a problem, or, you know, I've come of blood, or whatever they would, you know, back in the day.
Mhm.
Those elders and those witches, that's kind of how I see myself now, you know, sharing the
Yeah.
information of someone a little bit older. I just do it on Instagram and TikTok. Look at my wit, witchy wit.
I love that. I love that. I've always felt more comfortable in the auntie role, and that's
Oh
like my
God.
goal moving forward is like I am that person who can be that open person who's talking about stuff and like finding my voice and my confidence, but being able to like communicate that to other women who are in a different situation than I am and can't necessarily take all the, like I've approached this in a much more radical way than I think other people have, and I think you have as well. And I think that because of that, it makes it easier for other women to say like, oh, like I don't need to go that route, but I can do this in another way that works for me and find my own voice and my own confidence and like find my own pleasure, which is
Mm-hmm.
really just amazing.
So one of the things that I do in my talk, or one of the parts of my talk, is always about permission, because people always
Mhm.
say, you know, why do you think people are drawn to you on Instagram? And I, you know, why do people follow you? What do you think it is? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I think it's because I keep it real.
Mhm.
Um, Although that gives me terrible imposter syndrome, because I've got no idea when anyone wants to listen to me, but oh well. Um, but also, oh my God, I now completely lost my train of thought. See? Menopause brain. What was I going to say? Permission.
Oh,
The other thing I do is somehow I give people permission. So even
yeah.
it's wear a sequin cardigan to the supermarket, whether it's maybe I'll put that crazy headband on today, maybe I'll wear pink and yellow together, maybe I'll get a vibrator, maybe I'll join the dating app. I don't know. Like, that somehow seems to be what I do. So when I do my talk, I close my talk with, if I gave you a permission slip right now, like an old school one, like your mum used to fill in to get you out of PE, like a
Yeah.
permission slip, what would you give yourself permission for?
I
What
love
would you
that.
give yourself permission for? So go away and have a little think. What would you give yourself permission to do? Because women, for some reason, need permission from someone, from other people, from each other, from God, from their husbands, whatever. What would you give yourself permission for? Have a little think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Exactly. I think I would give myself permission to wear big hoop earrings.
There you go. I give you permission.
Thank you. What about you? What would you give yourself permission for?
Oh gosh, I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. What would I give myself permission for? To order champagne on Uber Eats.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Nailed it.
I love it.
I need to think
We're
about that.
almost at an hour. We're almost at an hour.
We've
I
done
know.
half an hour. Shut me up. See, you didn't say the safe word.
No, no, I don't think we needed it. We didn't need it.
Thank you so much
Okay,
for asking
last
me on.
thing, because I don't want to keep you from that champagne for much longer, but the last thing I want to ask you is what is one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Say yes to everything.
Love it.
Don't waste don't waste weeks on end wallowing in the shame and regret. It's pointless.
Mhm.
It's done. It's done. Forgive yourself, forgive other people, and say yes, and just keep swimming.
I love it. That's so perfect. That's so, so perfect. Thank you so, so much, Lou. I'm so excited to have you here and to have had this chat. It was fabulous. I had so much fun.
Yes. Oh, I wish we passed each other on the road. Our paths will cross. You
I
see.
know.
I
I
will
know.
see you down the road.
I'm headed to Seattle like in a couple of weeks, but how long are you on the East Coast for? Like when do you head back?
I'm heading out to the UK. Move back to the UK in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what's happening with your bus?
As soon as I can get the bus on a ship. So that's what I'm waiting on right now, is getting the bus on a ship. So I'm just waiting
Okay.
for that, and then I'll head out. My son's coming to join me for a few days, speaking at the Sex
Awesome.
Expo Saturday, going for a tour of the Sex Museum. I've got some press stuff to do, got a photo shoot. Oscar
Mhm.
arrives, see some friends, get Susie on a ship and get on a plane with all the vintage stuff.
Awesome. What an amazing journey. It's been amazing.
Thanks for having me on. It's nice to have a chat with someone on this crazy day.
Absolutely. I'm honored that it was me, truly.
Thank
So
you for
thank
asking
you
me.
so much. I hope you have an amazing weekend and a great time at the Sex Expo. I think
Thanks, darling.
Instagram's going to kick us off here in a second anyway, too. So,
Bye,
all right.
darling. Take care.
Bye.
See you down the road. See ya.
Yes, I'm